everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie, I'm Long Island's eating disorder specialist, and I talk on this channel all about eating disorders, body image issues, and other general mental health issues. I know it's been a while and I wanted to come on here and make some more videos for you of some things that I think is going to be really important to talk about. So one thing, and the purpose of today's video, is really talking about trauma. So just a little bit of a backtrack, it's very possible and sometimes very likely that an eating disorder develops out of some sort of trauma in a person's life. So how I normally describe it, and I have videos on this entirely, but just a little bit of a snapshot, is that when an eating disorder pops up, it usually is a way to cope with something else. So the eating disorder behaviors normally are coping skills. While it might not be healthy, of course, they are coping skills for dealing with possibly depression, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's trauma, maybe it's relationship issues, insert whatever here. But today I wanted to focus on trauma. So here's the thing, what I see is such a misunderstanding surrounding trauma is that a lot of people perceive trauma to be some sort of major event that had happened in a person's life. And usually it's either described as something that has happened in wartime for our military members and veterans, or something that is a sexual abuse or some sort of physical abuse. Of course, those are usually associated with traumatic events, and of course could develop into PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. However, there's a lot of information out there about that, but I wanted to talk a little bit about what really is trauma. It's not the event. The event isn't what causes traumatic responses. It's the processing of the event. So here's the thing, is that it could be big or small. It could be something that, of course, is something tragic that happened overseas in wartime. It could be a rape. Maybe you fell when you were younger because you tripped over something and something happened that you just didn't process that event. Yes, is it relatively normal that when you're young you fall a lot? Absolutely. But there's no judgment there because there could have been something. It could be so little as a bad night's sleep that night when we are meant to process our thoughts and things that happened that day that could have somehow been interrupted that night when you were 3 years old and fell. Therefore, something got stuck. Something didn't process appropriately. I know that's kind of like a weird thing to think about, but it really is how trauma develops. So it could be really, really big events. It could be really relatively minor events. And the most important part about all this is to not judge yourself or not judge others. You can easily, I think it's so easy in today's world that you're like, oh, well, I suffered this, therefore your thing is really nothing. It's not something that I'm going to give credence to. But we need to start having more respect for that because trauma could come in all different forms. And if you suspect that there might be some sort of traumatic response that you are going through, and maybe you don't know what the traumatic incident was, or you've been writing it off for so long, see a therapist. See a therapist that works with trauma. There are two modalities that I would really recommend that you look into. One is EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. There are some wonderful therapists who work with that. Another modality that is really effective for trauma is CPT, which is cognitive processing therapy. That's something that I work with my clients who are presenting with trauma. Sometimes people come to me with an eating disorder, and we identify trauma and we work through the trauma. Or sometimes people come to me and we are working not with an eating disorder, but also trauma. So if it's something that you are thinking that you need work with, feel free to reach out and I can help you, either guide you to proper treatment or we could discuss treatment together. But it's something that you don't have to suffer alone with, and please don't. And there's these two modalities that I had talked about, EMDR and CPT. I'm just going to overview it really, really quick, that both of these are very structured modalities of treatment. So usually they are a short period of time. They are geared to try to talk as little as possible about the actual event because we don't want to re-traumatize you in the processing of it. However, you do need to, of course, talk about some parts of the event in order to be able to effectively process the traumatic event. I hope that this video gave you a little bit more insight into trauma and to how trauma develops, as well as how you can get help for trauma. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with anyone who you think could be finding it helpful as well. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below, and I will certainly see you in my next video. Have a good one.